Oh, hey guys, I want to review what is going to be on our first district Math Monthly 1 math assessment. It's going to cover the first two units that we've done in fifth grade, which cover multiplication and division. So these are the types of problems you're going to see. They're going to be very, very similar to this. So I thought this video would help you guys practice. And if you want to show your parents, it will show them some of the strategies and things we've been working on for the first few months. Not few months, first few weeks of school. So right now, get a piece of paper, and I want you to work out number one, pause the video, get your answer, and then when you have your answer, unpause and we'll talk about it. Okay, so for number one, the good news for your parents if they're listening, in fifth grade, we do teach you guys what's called the standard algorithm, which is just 42 times 18, and then the normal multiplication, the way that we've all been taught for life, right? Parents, the good news is this is easy for us to teach them. The bad news is they've been taught a totally different way in third and fourth grade. So this way that we all do it is way harder for them than the way they do it. So just a quick recap, you would do the 8 times the 2, which is 16, carry the 1. 8 times 4 is 32, plus 1 is 33. We forget a lot of times, put in your placeholder. It can be a 0, an X. It doesn't matter. Then you're going to come in here now because you've multiplied by the 8, so it's technically gone, right? Now you've got to multiply by this 1, which is really a 10. So 1 times 2 is really 10 times 2. And that's why this 2's got to go over here, which is in the tens place, right? Now this is hundreds, 1 times 4, which would be 400. So you'd have to line it up like this. So you would add these 6, 5, 7, and you should see your answer. Now, you guys, my friends in this class, and remember, to be clear, when you take this test, I don't care what you do. Get the right answer is what matters to Mr. Conklin. Got it? So a lot of you guys do your area model boxes here, and just so the parents can understand, all they're doing is breaking this down into what the perception of easier multiplication problems. So they would take this 42 and break it up into 40 and 2, and they would take this 18 and break it up into 10 and 8. So now they would multiply. 10 times 40 is 400. 10 times 2 is 20. 8 times 40 is 320. And 8 times 2 is 16. Then we'd have to add those up, which is 400 plus 320 is 720 plus 36 would give them 756. So we've been trying to explain to them how this is actually patterns, but a lot easier problems than the problem I have with this one going forward for them is that you've got to first break up these numbers and then label them in the box right. Then you've got to do 1 multiplication problem, 2 multiplication, 3, 4 multiplication problems correctly. Now, granted, they are easier, but there's 4 of them. Then what I find is our biggest problem, kids, is when they do the adding up of these numbers in here, they don't line them up right. And now all of a sudden, instead of 400 plus 320, it's 400 plus 3,200. And then we get all off. So whatever is more comfortable for them will work for the purposes of this test. And if you guys that just did this problem with me, you should have gotten D. But Mr. Conklin is big on, I tell these kids all the time, our phones do this math for us. So the thought that you need to be able to solve these problems to be successful, like it's just not true, right? So the learning, I've shifted the learning for this math into you need to learn what it's asking you, how it all works, because that's going to help you be successful in whatever you want to do, right? The ability to learn how to do things, the ability to see the bigger picture, right? So I just showed you the 2 ways that you could work out this problem to get the answer. But we've also practiced a lot with doing a quick estimate in your head. And this is a test-taking strategy for you guys. So when you have these choices here, I want you guys to think about something. If you do a quick estimate, watch what happens. What if I just say this 42 is a 40? And what if I just say this 18 is a 20? Now, I've taught you guys with the zeros, you just add the two zeros and then multiply the number, right? The answer would have to be close to 800. How many of these are close to 800? Only one of them, right? And we know this estimate is very close because we rounded this down and this up. So it would be very, very close. So your answer has to be in the ballpark of 800. So when you have these multiple choice questions, you should be able to eliminate the ones that don't make sense, right? Now, also, I teach these kids this all the time. Look at this, 42 and 18. Watch this, 42 plus 18. Oh, I thought that was going to equal 56. It doesn't. Never mind. Sometimes if you do the wrong computation on these, the answers will show up also, right? So learn to do your estimate at the beginning to get an idea. Okay, pause the video and do number 2. So number 2 is a straight multiplication problem, right? He works 36 hours. He makes $12 an hour. 2 times 6 is 12. Regroup the 1. 2 times 3 is 6. Plus the 1 is a 7. We're now done with the ones place, so you can put your placeholder in here, a 0, an X, I don't care. This is 10 times 6, so the 6 goes in the tens place. This is 10 times 30, which is 300, so the 3 goes in the hundreds place. You would add this up to find out how much money he made. Here's the biggest mistake for you guys. You add these together, you get the 13, you regroup this 1 over here, but then you don't add the 1 in. Tons of people will put 3 there and then get it wrong. That's second grade math, right? And you'll see we're going to practice that in our homework. Another thing you can get wrong on these tests is you've got to bubble these in. 4, 3, 2. These are bubbled standardized tests. So if you come down here and you get the answer right, but then you bubble in 4, 3, and 3, it's going to mark it wrong. If you don't bubble it in all the way, it's going to mark it wrong. If you put your answer right here and bubble it in, it's going to mark it wrong. You have to put your answer starting here or here. It's the only way you'll get it right. Bubble it in. So many kids know how to do the math, but then still miss that. All right, pause the video and try to do number 3. So number 3 is another way that we do division, right? In 5th grade, we do not do division the standard long division way. That is introduced in 6th grade. So our way is to break these up either using partial products, which I'll try to show you later, or these area models. So the thought is if we break up this 90 and make it 2 45s, it's easier to put this 15 into 45 twice than it is to do 90 divided by 15. Now, this is a fairly simple problem, so a lot of you parents are going, that's not true. I don't think that's true. But remember, as the problems get harder, breaking these up does lead to easier division problems to solve. Because remember, I want you guys to think about this math, not so much about getting the answer, even though that's our goal. And we want them to be able to think through what it all means, right? So this is a division problem. This is 15 into 45 twice, right? So they want you to figure out which expression could find this quotient. So just as a test-taking strategy, we know quotient means answer to a division problem, right? We know that this says division problem. So if I can get my friends, you guys that are listening, to realize that this is a division problem, right? Eliminate the choices that don't make sense. Does choice B right here even have a division sign in it? You should all be saying no. So that can't be the answer. So now you're down to 3 choices. Because remember, this is about the process, right? Does this problem down here have a division sign, or this expression down here have a division sign in it? Now, if you have to guess on this test, on any test you take in life, I've taken tons of them. Do you have a better chance of getting it right if you're guessing out of 2 or 4? Now, the plus signs are the same. That's true, right? They all have divide by 15, divide by 15, divide by 15, divide by 15. That's all true. That's this part right here, right? What's left in these boxes? A 45 and a 45. Only one of those has a 45 and a 45 in it, and it's what letter? C, right? So we did this problem without doing any math, because then you also have to look at this one. Does it make any sense if we're dividing this problem up here is 90 divided by 15? This one is 90 divided by 15 plus 45 divided by 15. How would that ever help you find the quotient or answer? It never would, right? So if you can think about what all this means, there was no math there to do, right? No math at all. You will get a problem that looks like that, and it will be that easy. You will be able to eliminate 2 of the choices immediately based on the signs, the computations, and then you'll be able to eliminate another one because they just put random numbers in it. So I saw it all last year. Kids will look at this and they'll try to solve each one of these. They'll solve this, then they'll solve each one of these to try to get the answer. Listen, if you got to do that, you got to do that, right? But what's a better chance of making massive mistakes? Trying to do all these math problems or just understanding what it's asking you and eliminating the things that don't make sense, right? All right, on to the next page. If I could get my iPad here to move. Okay, pause the video and try to do number 4. This is another one, right? The only way you can really mess this up is if you don't read the words. Let's think about it. Mr. Black had how many laptops? 96. He puts the same number into his 12 classrooms. How many new laptops did each classroom get? He only got how many laptops? Total. 96, right? So let me ask you this question. Does it make sense that every class would get 1,152 laptops or 288 laptops into their classroom? That makes no sense, right? I'm going to guess, I don't know for sure. If you multiply 96 times 12, it's probably 1,152. I'm going to guess. That's probably why, if you multiply. That's not a math problem. That is a you not reading the words problem, right? Think about what it's asking you. In 2nd grade, we used to say, draw a picture of it. Well, think in your head. Miss Foster in the Media Center got 96 new laptops. She gave 12 5th grade classrooms got them. In any world, would we get 288 or 1,152? No. And if you guys start to break off some of these problems, you know these aren't the answers. Well, now there's only 2 choices, and they're very close together, right? So one of them has to be the answer. Now, you can do division, 12 into 96. You could do your area model and do 10 and 2 and 90. Oh, that should be in the inside. Hold on. See, now you guys got me messed up. 90 and 6 and do 10 into 9 is 9. I mean, you see, I can't even do the area models myself. Just scratch all that. Don't do the area models. So think about it. You could do all that, but look, you're down. A test taking strategy is you have 2 choices left, right? And if there's 12 rooms, just check them both by multiplying, right? Because if each room got 7, 7 times 2 is 14. Now you know there's a 4 in the ones place. Is that a 4 in the ones place? So the answer is probably 8, right? But let's check just in case. 12 times 8, 16, carry the 1, 8 times 10 is 96, right? So test taking strategies. Now, if you have to do your area model that I just messed up horribly, go ahead. If you have to do the division, that's fine. But you should be able to eliminate choices that don't make sense. Okay, go ahead and do the next one. Pause the video. The key to number 5 is you have to know what this word product means. Product, we know, means the answer of a multiplication problem. Now, if you divide these two, I'm going to guess the choice shows up here. Let's ask Siri. What is 43 times 37? 1,591, right? That would be if we divided, right? If I put 43 into 1,591, the answer would be 37. So they put this in here to see if you know what this word means. Because if this said quotient, then that would be the answer, right? But it says product, so you have to know product is multiplying. Now, if you just multiplied and did all this work, that's great. But if you know that means multiplying, can 37 ever be the answer? No. If you have 1,590 43 times, could 1,634 be the answer? So you're already down 2 choices. If you know what product means, you're down 2 choices, right? Let's just say I round this number all the way down to 1,000. And let's just say I round this number all the way down to 40. And I multiply, and I know the 4 and the 1 is the 4, and then you know you can just count the zeros, right? There's 4 zeros. Oh, hold on, my pen's not working. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at this. I rounded this number here, way down. I rounded this number way down. So my actual answer has to be way more than 40,000, right? How many choices there are way more than 40,000? Only one, right? So this is not so much a math problem of doing 1,591 times 43. You have to know what the word product means. And if you do a quick estimate in your head, even a crazy, my estimate is horrible. You can't drop 1,591 all the way down to 1,000. It's ridiculous. It's downright silly, but it still told me the answer, right? Now, if they had a choice in here, one of these choices was 58,000. Do you have to do the math then? Yes. But if it's the way this one worked out, if just in your head, if you went 1,000 times 40 is 40,000, the answer has to be way more than 40,000. You would be done with this in 10 seconds. It's really just 4 times 1 adding in the zeros, right? Because you guys all know the zero trick. All right, take a second and do number 6. Pause the video. Okay, number 6 is the same thing, right? Read the words. A business printed 25 books. Each book has 300 pages, 350 pages. How many pages did they print on Friday? 350 and 25. So let me ask you a question. If there's 350 pages in a book and they print 25 of them on Friday, does this or this even make sense? No. But look at this. If you add these two together, don't you get 375? Isn't that this? So if you don't do the right, I'm going to guess, watch this. I bet you what is 350 divided by 25? It's 14. So if you add, you'll get B. If you divide, you get A. I'm not sure what C would be, but let's see. Let's just use my crazy estimate again. Let's just say we do 320 as estimates. 5 times 3 is 6, plus 1, 2, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. I lowered this way down. I lowered this way down. So this estimate right here is way low for what the actual answer should be. It's horribly low. There's only one choice. So if you look at those numbers and you determine that you have to multiply, And then you just look at this 3 right here and this 2 right here, and you go 3 times 2 is 6. And then there's 1, 2, 3 place values. 1, 2, 3 place values. You'll immediately go, the answer to this has to be more than 6,000. Only one of these choices is more than 6,000. Everybody following me? Go to number 7. Pause the video and do it. Now, we've taught you guys a bunch of times, if there's zeros on both sides, you can eliminate them, right? So you can take out this 0 and take out this 0, right? Now I'm going to show you parents how we do division. So you can do partial products. This is how we do partial products. So we would be left with 5 into 135, right? And I always tell the kids just to try to take 5, 10 times out of the 130. So we would put a 10 over here. 10 times 5 is 50. So we would take 50 out. 5, 15, 85. So now we know when we've taken 10 out, we took 10 5s out, so we're down to 85. 5 goes into 85. I can do another 10. So now I'm going to take out another 50. That leaves me with 35. So now I've got a pretty easy problem here, right? 5 goes into 35, 7 times 35, nothing left over. You add up these, and that's your answer. Remember, it's got to be on this side or on this side, not both, not in the middle. And you have to fill in the bubbles. Let me just make sure I'm right before I shoot a video that's ridiculous. What is 1,350 divided by 50? 27. So this is a way of chunking this out to make it a little easier and not have to go through the steps. Ultimately, this was a tough transition for me to learn this way. But now that I see the 3 ways that we can do these division problems, I want them to pick the best way that it makes sense to them. All right. Last couple. So you will all pause and do number 8. There will be a box like this on number 8. Now, remember, this test-taking strategy. There are 2 problems here, right? This one and this one. So when you see this on a test, this is going to be one of the ones that requires you to bubble 2 answers, right? But you shouldn't get 2 answers from A, B, or C, right? Because only one of those is right. And you shouldn't get 2 answers from D or E because only one of them's right. These are problems going this way, right? These are problems going this way. So there's basically 2 problems here. This is the 0 strategy, right? Look, because there's a 0 here and a 0 here, you can just take it off and take it off. Now it's 3 into this 2 doesn't fit, right? 3 into the 27 is a 9, right? And we have 1 0 left. The 3 goes into the 0 times. So your answer would be 90. Down here, take a 0 off. Take a 0 off. 3 goes into the 27 9 times. Don't let the zeros mess you up. Drop them off. And if you don't drop them off and you do 30 into 2700, and you want to do your partial products, your area models, it'll still work out. Try to learn the strategies. Got it? All right. They will for sure give you a problem like number 9. Now, they want to know what number goes in this box, right? They give you the answer. Do you know how many times I tell you in 5th grade, we don't care about the answer. We care about how you got it, right? This is all about deep thinking. I've proven you can get the answer to any one of these on your phone, right? This is about whether you can think through what's happening, right? This is a thinking, reasoning problem, right? So pause the video and try to do number 9. Okay, so for number 9, you actually have to do the math, right? There's no real trick way to do this, but here's what I will tell you where you can save yourself some time and aggravation. Let's think about this. We know the answer has got to get close to 31,000, right? We know this is the 500. So whatever you multiply by here has got to get close to 31, right? It's not going to be perfect. But let me ask you a question. What is 3 times, if I put a 3 in here, 3 times 5 would give me an answer near 15,000. So is it going to be the 3? Probably not, right? So before you go through and just go right down the list and waste a ton of time doing a bunch of hard problems, put a 4 in here. 4 times 5 is 20. That's not really that close to 31. So it's probably not 4, right? 5, if I put a 5 in here, that's 25. We're getting closer. It could be the 5, right? Because remember, you've still got to do, this 2 and 6. So, that's pretty close. So you might have to try the 5. But let's look at the 6. The 6 would give you 30. The 6 looks pretty promising, right? Looks like it would be the closest. So why don't we try the 6 first? Because that's probably it. Let's try. So I'm going to do the area model so everybody can see it one more time, even though I don't like it. 60 and 2. Make my box, 500. I'm going to put the 0 in there just so we can see it, and the 6. 500 times 60 is 30 with 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. 60 plus 0 is 0. 60 plus 6 is 300, or is 36 plus the 1 0. 6 times 2 is 12. 0. Oh, I did that wrong. You bad. Don't listen to me. 6 times 2 is 12. 0 times 2 is 0. 500 times 2 is 10 with 2 zeros. So now we have to make sure we add this up, right? So this is why I think this is kind of hard, but you've got to do 30,000, 1,000, 360, and 12. And if you add that all up, you would get 2, 7, 3, 1, 3. And that would match that, right? So what I want you to see with that is, don't just think it's the 6, because this is not a problem where it's like, now if 6 was one of the choices, and say this was a 9, and this was a 12, and this was a 14, you'd go, oh my gosh, it's clearly 6, right? But when they're very close, you've got to test it out, right? All right, on to the last one. Pause the video and try to get your answer. Okay, I've said this a bunch of times. When it says select all expressions, that means there's more than 1. Now, there's lots of different ways. You can do 12 into 312. You can do 13 into 338. You can divide those out. You can do them any way you want. But remember, we talk about those fact families and multiplying, right? So I think it's easier. If I have the answer, I know the answer is 26 to all of these, right? So I would just go over here and I would go 26 times 12 equals 2 times 6 is 12, 5, placeholder 6, 2, add it up, 2, 1, 3, A would work, right? 26 times 13, 6 times 6, 12, 18, carry the 1, 3 and 2, 7, placeholder, 26, add it up. B works. It equals. Remember, when I multiply this 26 times this number here, I have to get this, right? Now, you could do the division if you want. But here's another one. If 26 times 13 is 338, does it seem like 26 times 12 would only be 260? Now, that would be one if you get really good at your test-taking strategies, go, that doesn't make sense. But let's just prove it just to be sure. And I want to show you something. Watch this. 26 times 12 to do this one. Watch this. 2 times 6 is 12. Now, I know I'm going to put the placeholder down here, right? So in the ones place, there has to be a 2. This one has a 0, so that won't work. Let's see. 15 and 26 for D is 30, carry the 3, 10, 13, 26, add it up, 390, that equals 390, that equals 390. That would be one of the answers. Now, I have to tell you, you can do these at, this is one that's going to take you the whole time, right? Because if you miss one of these, you miss the whole thing. So when you see this select all and it's got all these little, that's the one you should look at and go, this is going to take a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of organization. Because look, I'm a professional at this and I've done it a million times. And doesn't this just look like a whole bunch of junk right here? Yes. So let's check the last one. 26 times 18. 8, carry the 4, 16, 20, placeholder, 26, 8, 6, 4, 468. That does not match. Now, I have told the kids, when it says select all expressions, in my experience, almost always, there's usually 3 correct answers. I'd say about 75% of the time there are 3 correct choices on math tests. When they say select all, there's almost always 3 correct answers. So just keep that in mind. So that is an idea of the kinds of questions that you're going to get on your first monthly, and some test taking strategies and some ideas on how to solve them. Let me know if you guys have any questions. See you later.